This is exactly what building a good physique taught me about dating. I have made a pretty decent physique transformation and my dating life significantly changed. And we're going to explain everything in this video and what we believe to be true.
Because men are suffering. I mean, I've just listed out a bunch of unrelated statistics, but I'll draw it back in at the end. But to summarize it, 60% of men are single, while only 30% of women are now single. So what can we conclude from this? Well, those women have to be, statistically, sharing the top men. 35% of men have not had sex in the last 3 months. Fewer people can bench 225 than are worth $10 million. And only 2.5% of US men have a visible six-pack. 80% of men were rated below average from women. And women are only swiping on 8 to 14% of men. Now, obviously, a lot of those are completely unrelated, but we're going to draw it all back in. But we can pretty much just conclude from this 2 things. That women are only going for the top guys, and there are not many men at the top.
Now, we get a lot of comments of guys saying, you know, I don't see this, I think this is not true. Well, that's simply because you're already in the top percent. Congratulations, good on you. You either have good genetics or you've already put in the work. But we speak to guys on a very regular basis, whether it's in the school group or one-on-one clients even, that are suffering, that feel like the dating market is against them. And they do blame things like the dating apps, what's happened in society. But from my viewpoint, that is something you cannot change. That is a variable that you are not in control of. The only thing you are in control of is just making sure that you're in this top percentile of men, so it makes your life infinitely easier and you can actually leverage the dating market and the tools that society has provided for your own benefit.
For men that have only been on one side of this coin, they tend to be very naive and they tend to kind of disregard these statistics as just being rubbish, or they won't believe us. But guys that have been on both sides of the coin, whether they've started off at a very bad starting point, they had bad genetics or they were overweight, and then they made a transformation, they can see it. And even guys that were at the top that fell off can also see it. It's a difference in treatment and it is 100% noticeable for guys that have been on either side.
And you might be asking us, well, what do you guys know? You guys seem fairly young. There's no way you've actually had like a massive amount of experience to even understand this thoroughly. Well, I have both been extremely skinny, quite unattractive. I went down the wrong path while I was quite young. And then I made a pretty significant transformation. And I have been dating since I was about 14. I'm 21 now. So I have seen the treatment that I have received from women. And it's not like a black and white thing like, can you get women or can you not? But we're looking at the nuances within it. How do you get treated in those relationships? What's the quality of women you attract? Because I agree, if you're an unattractive guy or you're not hitting the gym or you can't bench 225, you could still get women, sure. But how are they treating you? How attractive are they? Are they actually serving your life in a productive way?
You might be coming up with the arguments as to, well, what's the physique got to do with this? How does that put me in the top percentile of guys? Well, we've gone over this in other videos about how even muscle mass is our sexual selection trait, but guys will also argue that, oh, well, it's the face that matters, it's your PSL that matters, and yeah, I agree, it does. But what does building a physique consist of? Well, if you're building a physique based on what we teach on our channel, it's getting lean, right? It's building muscle mass. That 100% affects your facial aesthetics. When you get lean, that is the biggest look smacks you'll ever do to your face. You build up your neck, you're likely increasing your testosterone, you're getting more masculine features. I mean, for me, just going to the physique was the best thing I did for my face.
It's the most controllable variable. It's quite easy to build a good physique. It might take you 5 years, absolute maximum 5 years as a natural athlete to build a top tier 1% physique. If you go the right way about it and you follow our philosophy around training, you will build a AAA physique, aesthetic, attractive, within 5 years. Height, okay, what are you gonna do? Go get limb lengthening. You're gonna wear height boosters, and then when you actually go to smash, you gotta take them off and your real height's revealed. Or with your face, I mean, most of it is just about getting lean. Almost any look smaxer will also agree with that.
So what conclusions have I come to based on my own anecdotal experience, the research I've done, and from what I've been hearing from guys? Number one is that the juice just isn't worth the squeeze if you haven't built a physique. Realistically, dating when you're not in this top percentile of guys is kind of a waste of time. You can date, of course you can. You can be here, if you're fairly social, you go out often, you know, you're just neurotypical, yeah, you can date just fine. But it's gonna require a lot more effort, you're gonna get a worse experience, and the quality of women you attract won't be anything you're proud of.
I've heard it time and time again. Guys come to me and say, I've taken this woman on like 5 dates and she still won't let me hit, she's not taking me serious. Trust me, boys, if you have experienced this before, just know after that date, if it's like a Friday, Saturday night, she's most likely going home, ringing up the guy that is at the top of her list and going to smash. And he didn't have to take her on dates. And you might be saying, that's bullshit, there's no way, that's exaggerated, that only happens in the movies. Then you just haven't been at that level and you don't understand that's what happens. This is truly what happens, it's quite brutal, but she will make it incredibly easy for a guy that she is actually physically attracted to.
And when I'm telling you the juice isn't worth the squeeze, I'm not telling you to opt out, because that is what a lot of guys are doing. They're simply just opting out and they're choosing to do nothing with their lives. They're choosing to just fap all day, play video games, and just involve themselves in a ton of hedonism. I don't agree with that. I don't think you should opt out. I think you should just reallocate your attention towards something productive so you can just put yourself in a better position to get more leverage in the dating market, because then it actually becomes a productive use of your time to date.
We say this in a lot of videos, we don't believe you should build a good physique simply to sleep with as many women as possible. You can do that if that's how you want to leverage your physique. You know, I'm not telling you what you can do, and I say this in all videos, I'm not your dad, right? If you want to do that, guys will do that. And that's fine. But I believe the best way you can leverage your physique is by finding a woman that actually serves you, right? And that might sound like misogynistic or whatever, but it's about serving each other. You are masculine, you're doing what you're supposed to do. She actually values you and you value her because she's actually productive in your life, right? Instead of these women that aren't actually attracted to you, probably like 5th down the line, and she's argumentative, she's not that attracted to you, she's requiring a lot of effort from your end. It's just not worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze at that point.
Number 2 is your value is over validation, meaning you don't need to validate yourself to women. And this kind of goes along with the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You might be thinking, well, I should still have to build up some dating experience. And I agree, you do need some time in the field to develop some game. And if you don't develop some game, what a lot of blue pill guys kind of just resort to, and kind of the default, is this validation style of relationship where they're constantly validating her, they're constantly seeking validation, they're trying to prove themselves all the time. And this is where you can mess up. If you build yourself to one of the top guys, you don't need to do that. She will already inherently understand your value. You don't need to prove it to her, because you've built a physique that is just a visual representation of your value.
Next we have dating apps, guys. This is pretty important to talk about. If you've had a bad experience with dating apps, I'm sorry, but you're just not good enough yet. That's fine. I wasn't too at some point as well, but you're just not good enough, because if you are good enough, you would be hogging all the results. That's how it is. The top guys max out like within a few days. And if you're attractive, you would know this. But dating apps suck and they're a fucking waste of time if you aren't that guy yet.
Because we already went over, women only swipe on 8 to 14% of men. So if you're not in that top 8 to 14%, let's average it out and say top 10%, well, they're not even swiping on you. And we know they set filters for guys who are above 6 foot. So even that is another filter. Realistically, if you're not in the top 5% of men in terms of how you look visually and how you present yourself on the dating app, once again, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. But this isn't always actually just about your actual value, because there's different ways you can present your physique, which is something we are huge on. We talk about that in the school group. If you want to learn more about how to present your physique on dating apps or on Instagram in order to leverage it for more results, just go to that first link in the description, but that is definitely something to be mentioned.
Yeah, a lot of guys are doing themselves a massive disservice on dating apps. You know, they've got a good physique, they're attractive, but they just don't look neurotypical. They aren't taking good photos, they don't go to good places and take photos. And I'm sorry to shit on some of the guys in the school group, but I've seen some horrendous photos that they think are good. So I just think you need to put your ego aside, listen to what we have to say about it, because we have done an autistic amount of research on this stuff, and I've even split tested it for myself. there is a correct way to take photos for dating apps, okay? So yeah, like Will said, go to the link in the description, it'll explain literally everything.
Number 4 is don't be obsessed. Now, yes, you can be obsessed with fitness yourself, but don't give off that vibe. If you don't believe me, look in the comment section. You will actually see comments from women saying how they had a terrible experience with their partner because they were so obsessed with their physical appearance. And this just proves everything I've been saying in so many of these videos, that women don't necessarily care about the tangible physique, they care about what it represents. They would rather you be born with it. It sounds crazy, but they would. They would rather you just be born with your physique and you didn't have to try for it.
Yeah, it sounds stupid, but this is a massive thing. Because as a guy, you actually do have to try quite hard these days to stand out and build attraction. It's gonna be hard not to talk about it because you're gonna be obsessed with it, but it is a massive turnoff. They will go dry if you are constantly talking about how hard you're trying. Once again, they are searching for the best genetics. And if you have to try that hard to attract her, she knows you have to go out of your way to essentially be your genetics and almost fraud yourself, which is not a good thing. And this is all subconscious, it all runs through her subconscious mind, but just don't talk about the gym so much. Don't talk about how much you had to try. It's just not a good look.
I mean, and I can attest to this from my personal experience. I'm not just making this shit up. Well, I've had many and failed many relationships and I've learned these things myself. And you could almost see the disgust in their face the longer you talk about the gym or the size of certain muscle groups or body parts, about what exercises you're doing. They do not care. Okay, yes, you can have like a gym girlfriend and she's also obsessed with the gym. Okay, then it's the exception. But apart from that instance, it's no go.
The only exception for this is if you act hyper confident about who you are, but not in a way that you're trying to become something. You never want to tell her that you're trying to become something that you aren't already. You have to be fully okay with who you are now. You are fully okay with the way you look. You never reveal your insecurities. And I know this is against what everyone will tell you, but you will get the best response from females and they will treat you how you treat yourself. If you go in and you're constantly talking about how good you look and how good you already are in this arrogant sort of asshole way, I promise you they'll always treat you the best. They will just mirror how you treat yourself. If you're going on about, hey babe, are my biceps like kind of underdeveloped from the rest of my physique? Fuck no, bro. Just say, like, even if she walks in and you're looking in the mirror, it's like start flexing, start saying, fuck, I look good.
Yeah.
And she will call you out for it. She'll say, you're so arrogant, you're such an egotistical asshole, but those are all things you want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, she needs to trust that you can lead the relationship. If you are unsure about anything, she will be unsure and she will not feel secure with you taking the lead.
The fifth thing I learned is that you don't have to try at all. Once you become the guy that can attract women, you do not have to try at all. And this is like some positive momentum that you build up. Because you're not trying, you become more attractive. You have this like abundance mindset. When you are not the top tier guy, you have to constantly chase. You're always chasing for validation from females or chasing to actually attract females. Not only do they disdain that, but it makes it harder for you to actually hold down a girl, because if you have to try so hard to get her, what makes you think you can keep her? The best relationships that I've always seen, and even in my own life that I've noticed, they always reach out first. They message you first, or they come up to you, or they're playing eye tag with you all day and you finally make the approach. Because I agree, most women just won't come up to you. Even if you are very attractive, they're never gonna chase some of these women. They just won't. So you actually have to make that approach. But when you become this guy, it is so easy. You do not have to fucking do anything. You just pretty much have to exist and put in such little effort into your dating life.
Matter of fact, it's easier to do nothing because you give yourself less chances to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Usually on a date, the less you talk, the better, because every time you talk, there is a small chance you're gonna blow it. Number 6, and it's gonna sound a little bit cringe, I get it. Primal attraction is real. There is no attraction like primal attraction. You can manufacture attraction with money, status, and other points, you know, but nothing beats the raw primal attraction that comes from building a good physique. Even Casey Zander talks about this. He is the most autistic guy I know about dating, and he will always relay it back to be in shape. It is so powerful, you have no idea. If you've never experienced the actual primal attraction that I'm talking about, you just wouldn't understand it.
Yeah, if your girlfriend or a girl in your past has ever told you that she won't do a specific thing, it's just not what she does, or she's not going to do this in the bedroom or put out in this way, or I just don't do this. Yes, she does. She will do anything for someone that she is physically attracted to in a primal sense. I'm talking literally anything. You can even just test this yourself. See how far you can push it. It's infinite. If she is actually attracted to you, I'm talking at the core, it's unbeatable. There's nothing you could do at that point to really turn her off. And I mean this, and once again, you would know this if you are that guy, and there's probably a small percent of guys watching this video that have experienced this. There's nothing you could do, man.
Because there's no way you can convince them into this primal attraction. Because she's literally just evolved to seek out the best genetics for her children and to seek out a provider that's going to best protect the family unit.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you're like slightly autistic or you're a bit weird or you've got these tendencies. It doesn't really matter. That's not going to affect the ability to provide for her offspring and your offspring, obviously. Once again, guys, if you want the complete formula that guys use inside of our school group to improve their dating life, and it truly works, there are guys in there that is now saying that one dude found himself in a thirst trap Pinterest board. We're getting some great results. So if you want to get plugged into the full system, you can go to that first link in the description. Not only does it have the body gain course, but it's got literally everything else that we've learnt, including actually how to build the AAA physique that gets attraction in the first place. But we've actually built you an entire video on exactly how to build that physique. You can watch it right there, absolutely free, and we built it for you.